In 1972, the IMO developed standardized navigation rules, or the coal regs, to provide a singular set of rules to be used on the high seas. In 1980, the United States decided to combine all of its various navigation rules, including the old inland rules, Western Rivers rules, Motorboat Act of 1940, Great Lakes rules, and of course all the various pilotage area rules. The rules were codified to work in conjunction with the international rules. Welcome to the first episode of Nav Rules with Captain Brian. A little bit about myself before we get started. My name is Brian Brown. I'm a proud graduate of the New York Maritime College class of 2006. I currently hold a Master of Towing for Inland, Great Lakes, and Western Rivers, a second mate on limited oceans, tank barge PIC, and have predominantly operated along the Gulf Intercoastal and lower Mississippi for most of my career. I have done 2 shoreside stints as a port captain, with my focus being incident investigation and education of employees on the rules of the road. I'm currently wrapping up my second issue as a designated examiner for Inland, Great Lakes, and Western Rivers for the tours, and I serve as captain of an inland towing vessel for an oil and gas company headquartered here in Houston, Texas. As we begin this series on the rules of the road, we'll take a look at each of the rules, what they mean, and even include discussions in the comment sections below of various cases and incidents and how those rules were applied to the incident. In the rules, there are 2 simple and unassuming words that appear various times. These words, while used almost interchangeably in regular conversation, mean 2 totally different things when we look at the rules. Those words are may and shall. May, when it appears in the rules, it appears as a suggestion. For example, it allows for modern replacement for an old system, such as using electronic replacements for bells and gongs. Shall, on the other hand, is compulsory. You must adhere to the direction prescribed in that rule. Rule 1 deals with the application of the rules, and who may authorize local rules, deviations from certain rules, and the inland rules. So today we're going to focus on Rule 2, responsibility. In particular, Part A will be this week's discussion. In the international and inland, Rule 2 is the same. Part A. Nothing in these rules shall exonerate any vessel or the owner, master or crew thereof, from the consequences of any neglect to comply with these rules, or of the neglect of any precaution which may be required by the ordinary practice of seamen, or by the special circumstances of the case. So what does it all mean? Part A of Rule 2. Nothing in these rules shall exonerate the vessel or the owner, master, or crew thereof. This sets up the burden of responsibility. When you ask, who is responsible for adhering to the rules of the road? The short answer is everyone. The obvious inclusions of the master and the crew are there. However, the owner is still responsible to provide functioning equipment to comply with the rules. Now, there's this curious inclusion of the vessel. Now, this allows local authorities to act on the vessel itself. So they can suspend the voyage, they can fine, or even seize a vessel for failure to comply with the rules. Now, normally, if a navigation light is out, they're not going to do much more than maybe slap a fine if they find it on an inspection and tell you to fix it immediately. But for egregious violations of the rules, this can result in the seizing of the vessel until fines and whatnot are paid. So this gives the Coast Guard here in the United States and the maritime organizations in other maritime enforcement organizations in other countries, gives them an opportunity and the ability to have some teeth when they actually go to enforce the rules of the road. The ordinary practice of seamen. This is a very open-ended phrase whose meaning can be interpreted in many different ways, but it always has this undertone of given the circumstances. Take, for instance, the Houston Ship Channel. Tows that are outbound and coming down on buoys 25 and 26 with the intent to turn east for Bolivar. Oftentimes, you will see inbound traffic on your two-whistle side, or, for lack of a better term, starboard to starboard. While the rules state that you're to keep to the right side of the channel, this deviation is an ordinary practice that allows for smoother traffic flow for ships and tows alike. So in the comments below, let's talk about what the ordinary practice of seamen means and provide some examples from your own experience. Question of the week. Every week I'll be going into the Coast Guard question bank and pulling a question without the multiple choice. What I'd like you to do is put the answer in the comments below, and I'll feature the first 5 people to get it right in the following week's episode. For this week, international and inland. A vessel is considered in sight of another vessel only when she... Tune in next week. Our next video will discuss part B of Rule 2. So stick around and we'll see you all back here real soon.